Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Cruising your way on this episode of Off 90. We visit a repository for knowledge about owls. We meet a family of musicians that play bluegrass and gospel music. We celebrate the centennial anniversary of a municipal band. And we tour a pioneer museum with ties to Laura Ingalls Wilder. It's all just ahead, Off 90. Hi, I'm Barbara Keith. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Off 90. Alone and warming his 5 wits, the white owl in the belfry sits. The owl has long been a symbol of wit and wisdom, but a good place to find facts about strigiforms is the International Owl Center down in Houston, Minnesota. The goal of the International Owl Center is to advance the survival of wild owl populations through education and research.
Look at every culture throughout the world, throughout history. They either loved owls or hated owls. Nobody was ambivalent about owls. They've been very prominent in history and cultures forever. My name is Carla Bloom. I'm the Executive Director of the International Owl Center. The goal of the International Owl Center is basically inspiring people to care more about owls so that they're going to make changes in their daily lives that are going to have a positive impact on owls. So it's basically empowering people to help make the world a better place for owls. And that's kind of the big thing, making the world a better place for owls. Because when it boils down to it, we're the owl's biggest problem. Humans are. The world over, it doesn't matter what country you're in, humans are the biggest problem. We've introduced invasive species, we're destroying their habitat, we're poisoning them, inadvertently, usually, but we're the biggest problem. So educating people is the biggest key to success for helping owls.
So the reason we do these programs is so that you can get to see owls up close and personal, because we really believe that's what helps people care about owls. And there are simple things that you can do to help owls. And number one, how many people in this room use paper? Raise your hands. Okay, how many of you people recycle your paper and cardboard? Raise your hands. Excellent. That's a wonderful thing you can do to help owls. It seems like a simple thing, doesn't it? How is that going to help? Well, it helps because where do owls live? In the wild, and they'll nest in trees, right? Where does paper come from? Trees. Okay, if we cut down the trees, where are the owls going to live? And researchers now in the wild who are banding birds and taking blood samples are finding that 60 to 80% of the raptors that they trap have some type of rodenticide in their bloodstream and in their organs. 60 to 8, that's over half. I mean, this is this is crazy. So we need to stop using that stuff. And the best thing you can do is get a snap trap. They work really good. They take care of the issue, and they don't harm other wildlife. So if you're on a farm property and have barbed wire that's not being used, please take it down or find somebody who can safely take it down for you. Because owls are night predators. They use their vision, they use their hearing, they're focused on their prey, they are flying, looking and listening at that prey. Barbed wire isn't even on their radar.
Our motto is basically making the world a better place for owls, which is on the back of our shirts. And And then behind me is Alice. She's the one that started everything back in 1998. She fell out of her nest when she was 3 weeks old, and the dislocation of her elbow was too severe for her to ever heal well enough to be able to fly and live in the wild. So she was raised around humans, and I got her when she was 1.5 years old when I was working at the Houston Nature Center. So she was the first live animal that we had there. She's the only live animal that we had at the Houston Nature Center. And her popularity is honestly what started all of this. It's because of her that we have an International Festival of Owls, it's because of her that we have a World Owl Hall of Fame, and it's because of her that we have the International Owl Center. Our International Festival of Owls is the only full weekend all-owl festival in North America. Now, we had no idea that was going to happen when we started. It literally started as a Hatch Day party for Alice, because the Houston Nature Center was built as a trailhead for the Root River Trail, and we're a town of 1,000 people, so tourism was the main reason that we have a nature center in Houston. So I thought, well, Alice is popular. What's going on the beginning of March when she hatched? Nothing. So let's do a Hatch Day party and we'll call it an owl festival. And we'll have some other live owls come in, we'll do some kids activities and things like that. And we expected it just to be a little thing. And the first year we had 300 people, which is pretty good for a town this size. We thought, well, let's expand on this. So we started getting speakers from elsewhere, and within a few years, we had people flying here from Alabama, California, New York. Like, you're flying to Houston in the beginning of March? Why? And that's when we realized nobody else was doing anything like this. We're like, wow, okay, let's expand on this. So as the festival started getting bigger and bigger and more popular, we kind of realized there's also no owl center in North America that is focused on education. So we thought, let's start an owl center here. We already have the owl reputation, so let's take it and run with it. And rather than do it in a bigger city, being in a small town, you can have an immersion experience. So when you come for the Owl Festival, you go to the Lutheran Church and you have owl face pancakes. You go to the community center and there's owl activities there. You go to the school, that's where most of the activities are. You come here, we have other things going on here. There's a Parade of Owls art tour that's throughout town. All the businesses are decorated with owls from our owl coloring contest in their front windows. So you come into town and and the coffee shop has owl-themed coffees and owl decorations everywhere. You don't get that in a larger community. A small town, you can do that, where like owls are the thing. So that's kind of what we're working on here.
So I invite you to check our website to see what's going on and come to our festival. But I really invite you to make a difference in the lives of owls by, becoming a member of the center, by telling your friends about us.
We'd love to have people come visit the Owl Center. For anybody who's a member of the International Owl Center, you get half-price admission at the National Eagle Center as well as at the Minnesota Marine Art Museum. So we do like to encourage people to go to more than one place because we do have some fantastic places here in southeast Minnesota to visit.
Music runs in the veins of the Benson family. As a group, they perform gospel and bluegrass music. We join them at home in Faribault as they work practice into their busy lives, and then follow them on stage as they take their harmonies to music lovers across the upper Midwest.
1, 2, 3. Well, I woke up this morning feeling fine. I woke up with heaven on my mind. I woke up with joy in my soul, 'cause I knew my Lord had control. Well,
I guess we bill ourselves as an a cappella, bluegrass, barbershop kind of group. I'm Peter Benson, and I'm the dad of this group.
I'm Erin, and I'm 13.
I'm Rochelle, and I'm the mom of this group.
I'm Luke, and I'm 10.
I'm David, and I'm 15.
Duppy-dubby-dum, leaning on the arms. Duppy-dubby-dum, say.
So we do really a mix of a lot of different styles, just to kind of keep things interesting.
There is power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb.
We also do gospel music. That's kind of our mission as we perform, is just to share that gospel message. And we use music as a way to kind of open the door and get into a lot of different places to perform.
We've played at fairs, we play at churches, I think is where we've probably done the most playing. And we've played at festivals.
My goal in life was to get married and have 4 boys, and have my own barbershop quartet built in. And my wife went along with it, so we just had 4 boys right off the bat. Right away we started harmonizing. When David was little, and we would teach him some melodies and then harmonize with him, and he could carry his part by himself, and we were just thrilled, like, he's got it. From there we decided to pursue that and hopefully get into barbershop. So we did some, trio stuff, and then Aaron came along, we were able to do 4 parts. Just started in the kitchen. We like to have a lot of fun when we perform. We do a little skit from Hee Haw where we do the and then we stop and the kids do some dialogue back and forth with the corny jokes.
Hey, Luke, is it true that Noah brought all the animals onto the ark in pairs?
Yep, except the worms. They came in apples.
It kind of gets the audience loosened up, and we want them to feel like they're part of the show, and we get them to clap along, and we do some other, we tell Norwegian jokes, and those always go over well.
My favorite is probably our leaning montage. We do lots of different styles.
I'm leaning on the everlasting arms. I am leaning on the everlasting arms. Oh, what a fellowship, a joy divine. I'm leaning on the everlasting arms. I'm leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning on the everlasting arms.
We have some barbershop hats and some cowboy hats, sunglasses, some wrap, sweatshirt, and hat.
They're all super fun, and they're all great to be able to teach the kids at the same time while having fun together.
People ask us if they must really get nervous before the show, and generally before a concert, these guys are like playing with a football in the room or some kind of toys about 30 seconds before we go on, and we're like, okay, we're on, and they don't know any better that they should be nervous, so it's great.
Can you stand?
Well, we keep having kids because we know David is going to eventually, graduate and leave. No. Yeah, we're excited about the future of these guys. This little guy, Paul, the cracker eater here, he's a good singer. He's got a really strong voice. He just has not yet sung on stage, so that's coming up soon. I think Luke was about 4, weren't you? Luke was 4 when he first started, did a little solo. So yeah, and then we've got a little girl, Keziah, our only girl. Besides Mom. And we hope that she'll be in the group as well.
Make me songs and make me lights, and revival fire ignite. Reveal your glory in my life. I am not ashamed to lift up your holy name. Make me songs and make me light.
On hot summer nights, hundreds of people in Winona enjoy the foot-stomping marches and rousing show tunes performed by the Winona Municipal Band. The band recently celebrated their 100th anniversary. From the days of celebrating store openings to today's summertime concerts at Lake Winona, this cherished band has performed through thick and thin. Let's take a front row seat for this summertime treat.
I love coming to these concerts. We hear the best music ever. musicians are some of our favorite people out here. We get to see all our friends, so this is the place to come on Wednesday nights in Winona, Minnesota.
I'm Ruth Burris, and I have been a member of the Winona Municipal Band for 36 or 7 years, depending if you count this summer. We are celebrating the 100th year of the Winona Municipal Band, continuous performances from 1915 through 2015, and many bands were founded around that same time, but there were interruptions because of wars or other issues. About 1915, there were some people that decided they really wanted to have a city band. They decided that they wanted a band that could be an asset for Winona businesses. And that was a lot of the purpose of bands, was to make a community well known, to represent the community at road openings and bridge dedications and all sorts of community events that we found that the band did go to and perform at to, I guess, enhance the community spirit. They would go to different towns and they would go on sort of business introductions. They would go along with some of the business leaders and try to get people to come to Winona to shop. The Association of Commerce was the first sponsor of the band and sponsored it for a long time. As a matter of fact, they were behind the instigation of the band. They finally built a bandstand down by the lake, where the Lake Lodge is now, at Lake Winona. And for a while that was used, except sometimes it was flooded. So then they went back to the hillside. And having that structure built in 1924, it was donated by one of the lumber families, F.S. Bell. And having that sort of gave the band a focus and a place to exist that is to this day. The band shell today is essentially the same structure that was built in 1923. In the late 1920s, there was an effort to pass a tax levy, and this was put to voters once and I believe twice, and finally on the third time it passed, largely due to the efforts of the director at that time, Orville Reese. And from that time on, the city has funded the band through that tax levy. When the band was first organized, they hired George Colburn as the director. And as we looked into his past, we found that he had written the score for a silent movie called Antony and Cleopatra. And that was the first dedicated score that has been found that was actually written to go with a movie. The second director was only here for 2 more years. The following director was a businessman in town. And then there was Harold Edstrom, who was a new young band director in town at the high school and the college. And people liked him a lot, and they were afraid that another city would take him away by offering him a bigger salary, so they thought he should be the band director and that would allow him to stay. And he got the band director job, stopped teaching, and he founded Hal Leonard Music, and now is the largest publisher in the world. The community of musicians in Winona is very rich, and a lot of that was due to having Hal Leonard here, because arrangers moved here to work for Hal Leonard. Winona State University always had a strong music program. St. Mary's University has had a music program. St. Teresa's had a music program. So music was pretty important in the community. Tonight's concert is going to feature the clarinet section, and I wrote one piece that will be performed by the section as a whole, and I called it Clarinoodles, so we hope it goes okay. And then I wrote a duet that my husband and I will play based on a piece by Johann Sebastian Bach, who never wrote for clarinet because it wasn't invented yet. In our band today, we have, I think, all walks of life represented. We have teachers, we have lawyers, we have doctors, we have retired people, we have musicians, we have some students. And I think it's always been that way, that there have been some professional people in the band, very fine players. It's a great feeling being a member of the band. There's a camaraderie that you get from performing music, making something satisfying, beautiful, technically difficult. It's the one time in probably anybody's day that's all they're thinking about, is making the music that's in front of them. And that's one of the reasons I think people enjoy doing it so much. And our audiences are wonderful. They're loyal, they come rain or shine, and that makes it very rewarding as well to have people appreciate what you do. For the next 100 years, I hope people are still making live music themselves, not just plugged into something that's making music for them to listen to. Hope that people will be able to come out of their air-conditioned homes and sit down by the lake and feel the breeze and hear a concert. There's nothing like live music.
For a small town, Spring Valley has boasted several notable residents. One of them was author Laura Ingalls Wilder, who lived in Spring Valley for a time. Another name you might recognize is Richard Sears, one of the founders of Sears, Roebuck and Company. We visit the Spring Valley Historical Society to find out more about these and other notable former residents.
The Methodist Church Museum was built in 1876, and of course that was at the time that the Wilders lived here. They were members of the church, and of course helped pay the debt of building that church. I'm Julie Maliner, and I'm the director for the Spring Valley Historical Society and Museums. Laura Ingalls Wilder, of course, was an author and wrote her series of 9 children's books, the Little House books. When the family ended up out in DeSmet, South Dakota, she was just Laura Ingalls. It was at the same time that 3 of the Wilder siblings headed out there to do homesteading. Almanzo met Laura Ingalls. They had a baby boy that died, and then they both got deathly sick with diphtheria. It was trying to heal from diphtheria is what brought them to Spring Valley, because Almanzo's family was living here. They had a huge home that had plenty of room for them to come and recuperate here. Also attended the church that the Wilders were members of. The one photo that we do have that's very special is a picture of the Wilder home. On the porch is Almanzo with his mother and father, and then his sister Eliza Jane is standing there. Also on the other porch is Laura and their daughter Rose. We do still have the barn here. That was a barn that was, of course, used by the Wilders for their Morgan horses. Some of the other notables that lived here, Richard Sears, who started Sears and Roebuck Catalog and the Sears stores. He did all of his schooling here in Spring Valley. Charlie Henderson was a tool and die maker by trade, but he loved to invent. And so we have many inventions that he has in the museum, one including the one-handed desk stapler, that he invented, and because of that we did have a staple factory here in town. And also the silent shutter for the Connolly brothers. The Connolly brothers were two brothers that invented their own camera line, and so because of that we did have a camera factory here also. And of course, Bernard Petenpole was a man that lived just south of town in Cherry Grove, developed his own kit that you could buy and of course make your own airplane, or an air camper as they were called. Probably the major reason that we believe that so many people were here is the fact that we had two rail lines that came through. The best thing about what I do is having people from around the world come to see what Laura, where she lived, what she did, the people that she lived with, the communities that she was a part of. People will come that had no idea that Laura lived in Spring Valley, Minnesota.
That's all for this episode. Please help Off 90 meet its financial obligations by becoming a member of KSMQ Public Television. Give us a call at 507-481-2095 or 1-800-658-2539 or sign up online at ksmq.org. Thanks for watching. Join us next time, Off 90.
Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.